Kaleidoscope perception.
Hello, welcome to Lizard's Head. I want to talk about the Temperance card in Tarot because this is a card that I didn't understand for a while, and I kept pulling it this summer, and I feel like, from my experience, I have a pretty good understanding of it now. And of course, just take what resonates with you. These cards are alive, and that means that there's no one stagnant definition as this card means this. It's not concrete. You can learn what the cards mean based on your own experience. So I'll start by showing you the classic Rider-Waite deck, Temperance, and I think the images are going to be reversed on my camera. This is Temperance. It's an angel with 1 foot on earth, 1 foot in the water, pouring water from one cup to the other, to the other, to the other, back and forth. And I imagine that one of the cups has hot water and one of them has cold water, and they're two extremes. And when you pour hot into cold, there's a moment of shock because there's something new coming in. There's a difference, a big difference, one extreme confronting the other extreme. And what happens, it might create steam, it might create a middle ground. And eventually, when we keep pouring one to the other, we'll have 2 cups with warm water. We'll meet the middle. When I think of just the word itself, temperance, I think of maybe like easing off of something, or sort of in some way like calming it down. Like the hot is so hot, and then the cold is like, okay, chill off a little bit. It's okay, you don't have to be so hot. And it's sort of like patting something down, like almost like dampering it, putting a blanket over it. And when I would first pull this card, it was pretty consistently a message to ease off. Like maybe I'd come to the deck supercharged, like I need to know the answer to this situation, and it would just be like it's okay. Or I might be asking, for example, about a relationship, because I want to use that example again later, and it would say, like maybe as opposed to the chariot, which is like go for it full steam ahead, it would say just back off a bit, take your time, get all of the information, get all of the hot, all of the colds, feel into it. And so I see this card as a card to mean to kind of slow down and take your time, and that you're in a process right now. That because it takes time to pour from one to the other. It's not like the Tower, which is just a lightning bolt of sudden shattering the foundation of what you thought was solid. Temperance is a process of integration. I also want to show you some other cards from other decks that I like. This was the deck I was using the most this summer, the Temperance card. And it's integrating the yellow and the blue, and the woman's overseeing it. This is from the Shadowscapes deck. I really love the art on this. And I also, I want to show you another card from this deck that is very beautiful, which is the 5 of Cups. This is a bit of a tangent, but the girl is holding a bowl with a fish in it, and she's going to release it back to the water. And like in the classic Rider-Waite deck, she's got 1 foot on land and 1 foot in water. And I see the 5 of Cups card as a card of like letting go. And I do feel like in Temperance there could be an element of releasing something, because there's a change. Like you're not just going to get that hot anymore. Like if you've just been in the hot, a new element has come in. There's something new. And so it's kind of a need to integrate this new information, this change. Also, 5 of Cups. In the major arcana, Temperance is 14, and 4 plus 1 is 5, and 5 is, that's the numerology, I'm not being silly. And 5 is often a card of change, or it's kind of right in the middle of 1 to 10. So it's kind of like you go to 1, you go to 10, you go to 1, you go to 10, and there's change happening. So it could be putting yourself in a situation, stepping back from it, considering it, going back into it again, sort of maybe confusion, but it's not resolving in confusion. It's confusion in the part of a bigger process. So there's information that came in that is that you're fitting into a bigger storyline of your life. And I'll also show you, no comment on Osho, but I really like this deck, and I want to show you Temperance, the Major Arcana card in this deck is called Integration. I was like, yeah, that's the right name for this card. It made sense to me. I think classically, you might hear the interpretation of Temperance to mean like back off, use discernment, check in with yourself before proceeding, make sure you have all of the information. I see that as an aspect of a greater picture of a process. So this summer, pretty much every aspect of my external world was changing all at once, super fast. Thing after thing after thing changes. Breakups, change in my where I'm living, change in my financial situation. And I could say favorable and unfavorable, or enjoyable and tragic, like full spectrum emotions with these changes. But there was change, change, change. And pulling the Temperance card, once I understood it, I realized was a message saying to me, hey, like, you're going through a lot right now. Just know that you're in a process. It almost struck me as a message of Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde to me is a time of kind of stepping back from the social world and reflecting, just thinking on about what's happened recently, going over it in my mind and understanding it in a new way and making a new story out of it. So for example, just one of these life aspects, I'll talk about relationships. So I was actually in 2 breakups or significant relationship changes this past few months, and they both involved like new information or another person. So maybe in Temperance, we could say like I'm in a stream with someone else. I'm headed in one direction with this person. There's a feeling of togetherness or stability or a sense of identity and continuity in my relationship with someone who I'm close to. And then all of a sudden, hot meets colds, there's something new, a change. And there's like right away maybe some confusion, like, wait, what's going on here? What does this mean in terms of our relationship? And it takes some time to integrate this new person or this new information into what was once just simply a stream headed in one direction. And that's how I see this card, maybe in terms of relationship, and you can imagine how that might affect any aspect of life. Like maybe I receive my money in a certain way, I have a certain job, or I'm headed in a certain direction, and then something changes that, and so then I have to figure out, okay, well, what am I going to do now and for money, or what am I going to do about this? Or maybe the place I'm living catches on fire. And so it's like, okay, I guess I'm not going to move here after all. What do I do now? And it's this sort of integrating new information into the context of a bigger story. And it's just like kind of, I see this card as like kind of a gentle, it's okay. Like you're integrating extreme situations, you're integrating new information into something that felt stable. So I'll also mention that this card from what I've read and learned and understand, is classically related to Sagittarius. And I understand that as Sagittarius says, this is what I believe in, and I'm going to tell everyone about it, and I'm going to do it 100%. I am 100% committed to this value system, to this meditation practice, to this diet, to this workout, to getting to the top of the mountain. I'm 100% doing it, and I'm better than everyone else. So it's very extreme. And the way that Sagittarius archetype energy might learn is to do something 100%, to go to a very big extreme, then to kind of back off from it, temper the extremeness of the approach, and maybe go extreme in another direction. And through that process, there's a learning and there's an integration and there's a reflection based on from a kind of a reference point from that is developed by going to an extreme, backing off, going to an extreme, backing off. They're like over time of these extremes, there's a sort of like, well, where am I in the center who goes out and comes back to myself? And sort of a tempering of the extreme and integrating of all those experiences into a sense of continuity, a nice warm equality. I also see very obviously and overtly the Libra archetype. Of course, Libra is the scales, the balancing. I think the Libra probably rules justice. I'm going to assume that in the tarot deck. But I see Libra energy anytime we're talking about two different things that are interacting with each other in some way. And I also see Gemini energy. And I haven't heard anyone else talk about this, but it's been my experience. My experience of Gemini is multiplicity. It's not just duality, but also, yeah, Gemini's the twins. There's another duality. With Gemini, like from my experience just now, it's sort of like all these different aspects of my life are being hit on and changed all at once. And there's a sort of scattered as opposed to integrated. So it's sort of like scattering puzzle pieces all over a table, and it's sort of temperance is the process that we go through to put the puzzle together in a new way, to create a new picture from the pieces that have been changed slightly based on this new information, and all the pieces are influencing each other, so all of the pieces in the puzzle are slightly different, and it's all fitting together in a new way. I also wanted to mention that temperance can mean coming to a new sense of balance. So if there was an imbalance in a relationship, something might come in from the outside to suddenly affect the relationship, but that over time it'll balance itself out even better than it was before. So for example, I was really close with someone who saw our relationship as romantic, but I only saw it as platonic. And there was a sudden, abrupt influence from the outside that has kind of separated us. And the message from Temperance might be that happened for the better, in order to balance out the function of our relationship for each of our lives personally, but then also in the long term, our relationship will come to a new, more healthy, more accurate balance. So just to summarize, I see temperance as a process, a pretty big life process. If I see temperance in a reading, it tells me that someone is experiencing a lot of change and they're in a process of maybe becoming a new person. So based on the context, it could mean anything from a shocking change to a message to kind of ease off and have some patience and to let the situation unfold, or to let your inner process unfold, and you'll be more clear in time. I wish this was useful. See you next time.